Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 for our 4 p.m. commission meeting. Let's start with a roll call, please.
Mayor Skidmore,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Allen, Commissioner Kaler, Commissioner Clayton,
Present.
and Commissioner Crowley.
Present.
Okay, we have 3 of us here. As long as we all stay alive, we do have a quorum, so that's good news. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by, I think, maybe me, right? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we do come before your throne. We admit our humility toward you, our love for you, but your love for us is far beyond what anything we can understand or imagine, and we give you thanks for that. Lord, we give you thanks for the way you've blessed our community, our city in so many ways as we look across the landscape and we see housing construction going on, the businesses doing well, and Lord, it just is encouraging to see some of these progressive things that are happening in our community. We just ask for you to continue to bless us and look forward to the things of the future. And now, Lord, as we look over these items on our agenda today, we just ask for clarity of mind and the wisdom that you promise to give each of us as we make these decisions. We just commit this time to you and thank you for Christ's name. Amen. Okay, we'll start with the public comments. Do we have any?
We have none registered.
None registered? Okay, thanks. We will go on to skip item number 7 since there's nothing there to mention, but in the consent agenda, we do have the minutes from the April 3rd, 2024 City Commission meeting, as well as the agenda approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I had a feeling that was going to come, but anyway, no other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We'll move on to item 9. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Item 12, I am a partner in that duplex that we're going to discuss later. Typically, I would recuse myself. I'm not going to. I'm going to abstain from a vote, but I'm going to maintain, the seat just in case there are any questions that I may be able to answer that our staff may not be able to.
Okay, and we may have to push that on to our next city commission meeting since we won't have a quorum at that point, if I understand right. So we may push that on. So,
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that, Commissioner. We do have some interviews for the open seats on the city boards. We have the Airport Advisory Committee. Let me look here. And Lori is here, right? You want to come up to the podium in here and we just wanted to ask you a few questions. Just hope you're relaxed. It's just, there's no wrong answers. It's all about you.
Hello.
Right? It's kind of like rhetorical questions. I often thought I'd do a lot better in school if all my tests were rhetorical questions, but they weren't, so but that's my problem. But anyway, we'll start with Commissioner Kaler over here at the left, and he will start with some questions here, okay?
I'm Commissioner Crowley.
I think she's
the
gone.
direction here and which one you were
Yeah.
talking about.
I'm going both directions here, so.
So is
there
it
you
actually
go.
me?
This guy.
Okay. Hello, Lori. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. Hey, why would you like to serve on the Airport Advisory Board?
That's kind of a loaded question. I've been interested in aviation most of my life. I was telling Laura that I was born in Atchison, where Amelia Earhart was born. I have read her biography. I've always been interested in aviation. I scored well on the ASVAB in high school, and the airport recruiter came out, or Air Force recruiter came out to the farm, and Dad proceeded to chase him off the farm. And I was 17. I wanted to be a pilot, but ended up instead going to school, and I graduated from OU and became a teacher instead. So I still have an interest in aviation, and I'd love to learn to fly a plane. So
Great. Thank you.
Okay. I'll go on the next one here. We'll skip down to number 3 since you kind of answered number 2. What role do you see the Airport Advisory Board serving for the city of Ottawa?
I would say that whatever the goals are of the community, to, be attentive to those goals and try to figure out how to achieve the goals, and learn as much as possible to advise in a manner that behooves everyone, basically.
Okay, good, thanks. Commissioner Clayton?
Thank you for being here today. What do you perceive to be the biggest need or concern regarding the airport?
You know, I don't really know where things are lately because I've been involved in some other things, but about 10 or 15 years ago, I got my real estate license after I was a teacher, and then I've been in real estate for probably 20 years. And when the Brummels bean field, that 52-acre bean field, was trying to help the city in the acquisition of that, I was kind of involved in that back then. And I know that they did get that land, and that, you know, that was the goal at that time, to extend the runway and basically have a free and clear runway and things. I don't know what the goals are. I am willing to learn, and I consider myself a pretty decent learner. So I've been involved in a lot of things, and I have a diverse background. So I think it would be fun and interesting and something I would enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll go back to Commissioner Crowley to finish this off for us. Another question?
What changes or improvements would you recommend to the city regarding the airport?
You know, I haven't honestly studied things a lot. I think it would, I know that they have some things organized now. Is there a breakfast this Saturday maybe? And at the airport? And then they have a youth group. I think it would be really great. I mean, I don't know as far as the community needs, but as far as getting youth involved, I know that there's a group that they're working with, and I think it would be great, because I was a teacher. It would be fun to really get more people involved and interested in things with the airport and aviation for kids, and getting kids interested and involved in that.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions that popped up while you're thinking, commissioners?
I guess I will ask the one, is there anything that you wish that we would have asked you in regards to the airport for?
I just want to, I mean, I'm glad you didn't ask too many difficult questions. I'm okay. But I think that my role basically should be to learn as much as possible about the community needs and be open and willing to understand, you know, what's going on, and do my best to facilitate the correct changes or achieving goals that this community wants served.
Thank you.
That's great.
I hope that helps.
I just read an article recently that there are two ladies that are flying with the Blue Angels right now, and I thought, well, hey, if your dad had not run that guy off, might have been one. You might have been one of them. Who
You
knows?
know, I didn't really want to be a fighter pilot, but I did want to be a pilot. So,
Yeah,
you know,
good.
I think I would have been great at Top Gun too, though. Who knows?
Yeah. Watch out, right? All right, great.
And I appreciate your time.
Sure, Lori, thank you very much for your time and for your interview. And we have, it looks like 5 applicants for 2 openings. That's always a good thing to have when we have more applicants than openings. Normally it's the other way around, but we're certainly glad you applied for this, and we will keep you informed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. Welcome, Paul Bean, is that your name? I guess okay, recognize that. Look
That's
like.
what it is
Very
today.
good, all right. You know how to operate that, don't you?
I'm learning.
You've seen it before, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, keep it greased, we can do it that for you.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks.
We will just start off by just a few questions here. We'll start with Commissioner Crowley here.
Mr. Bean, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Good, good. I'm going to go off script here a little bit, put you on the spot, I guess.
Okay.
As director of FCDC, and you applying to be on the Airport Advisory Board, how do you think those two organizations could work together to help benefit the community as a whole?
Thanks. Thank you for that question. That's why I'm really interested in it, because I think there is a benefit by bringing FCDC more involved with the airport. The airport's a critical piece as we recruit industry and we try to grow our economy. And I think by me being more engaged on the ground floor, with the airport, I'll certainly understand it better than I do now. And that way, I can probably do a better job of accentuating the benefits that it can provide to industry. And on the flip side, I think I can bring something to the table from the FCDC standpoint to the airport is, here's some things industry would like to see, or here's some things maybe they want to have the city or the airport consider if they're coming here. And so it kind of helps, I think, in both sides of that. But really, helping me be much better informed on the day-to-day and the needs of the airport, I think, and the benefits of the airport. I think it'll assist me in my main job of promoting economic development.
Thank you.
Very good. My question, Paul, is what role do you see the Airport Advisory Board serving for the city of Ottawa?
I think any advisory board is first, it's advisory, so you have to understand that. I think that's a critical understanding when you're on an advisory board. But I think the idea for me when I'm on an advisory board is what am I seeing, what am I learning about the organization or the entity that I'm on the board for, and what is it that I can convey in that board meeting, or if asked by a commission or city staff, that would be helpful as you decide what to do for or with the airport, and vice versa, what the airport can do for the city. So it's a good partnership. So it's really being a conduit between the two entities, and obviously being a voice for the airport to you folks and the city staff is a role of an advisory committee. But I think it's really just being a reliable conduit that's fair and balanced and kind of can see it from both sides, but understand, maybe a little more in depth because we're at meetings talking specifically about the airport where maybe you're not able to do that as in depth.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Clayton?
What do you perceive to be the biggest need or concern regarding the airport?
I think I see it as an opportunity is how can we grow the traffic at the airport. I think looking at some outside of the box ways of getting hangars and other things that could add to the traffic out there. We could sell more of our gas and more product that way. Also, they do a good job with some of their events and get people out there and bring people in. I think always looking at that as the way we can bring people into town, not just to be out at the airport, but how do we connect them once they're at the airport to get them into town. And I think that's where you work with not just FCDC, but with Main Street and the Chamber, and certainly have a close working relationship with Ryland and Sarah. So I think there's ways to accentuate what they're doing with maybe what the airport's doing that maybe isn't as connected as it could be at times.
Okay.
Hmm?
Commissioner Crowley, you got another question?
Paul, you have a little bit of knowledge of the airport, and if you're put in this position, certainly would gain more. But at this point, do you have any changes or improvements that you are thinking about right now that you could relay to us?
I think the big thing I would look at is how do we go about getting some more hangar space in there or out there, and then what is it going to take, from an industry standpoint, what's the ideal runway length? I mean, we've had some industry that wanted to come in and that runway wasn't, this didn't keep an industry from coming to Ottawa, so I don't want to say that. But sometimes a little longer runway might help us because of what kind of jet that corporate jet is. And specifically what I'm thinking right now is when you're dealing with the Japanese and Panasonic and trying to get something related to them, you might need a little longer runway. But that's one of those, if you need it, how do we make it happen? But I think the hangar thing is probably a little lower hanging fruit where we try to find some partners so it's not just the city building a hangar, but how do we get some partnerships to do something like that? And then, like I said, the objective is to increase revenue through storage and also gas usage and just traffic.
Paul, I'm glad you mentioned the industry that might be using our airport. I think some people seem to think it's just a little airport
Yeah.
that farmers use to refuel and drop, crop dust and stuff like that. It's certainly an important amenity for our community, and certainly something that industry that might fill that 56 acres out of Proximity Park would use. So it's a high priority that we take care of some of those things, and if not, it may negatively affect, somebody going in out there.
Yeah, just about every RFP I get, they want to know closest airport So I always mention, of course, Kansas City is the international, but I also mention you're a mile away from our municipal airport. And most of the corporate jets can utilize what we have right now. But that's important. So whether, they bring in their big shots and they have their meeting, or they want to check on something, and they turn around and fly out, hopefully after they've eaten and dined here and spent the night. But yeah, it is important. It's an important element to our recruitment.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul, is there anything else that we should hear from you, perhaps, to convince us to vote? Because we've got 5 applicants for 2 openings.
Yeah. No, I just appreciate the opportunity to put my hat in the ring, and appreciate the fact that we have an airport. That's a true asset to us that a lot of communities like us don't have, especially as well-run as ours is. And just know that regardless if I'm on the advisory board or not, I'm here to help and facilitate those relationships with FCDC and the airport in any way I can. So thank you.
Great. Okay. Any other questions anybody have? We're good.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. And Clark, come on up.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Why don't you start up and just mention your name, your address, and we'll start asking some questions here.
Yeah, my name's Clark Ryan. I live at 803 South Willow Street here in Ottawa.
Okay, great. Good to have you today.
Thank you.
We'll start with Commissioner Crowley with some questions for you.
Mr. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. What specific skills, qualifications, or experience can you bring to the advisory board?
Yeah, so I guess as far as skills and experiences, I've worked for over 20 years as a government contractor, including contracts with the FAA and Department of Transportation. Have experience writing grants and proposals and other documents related to government-funded projects and that sort of thing. Currently, I work as a developer, so I spend a lot of time, working with construction teams, working with contractors, going through all the processes of permitting projects, contracting, and that sort of thing. So I think that's some of the skills and experiences. As far as on a personal level, we own a plane and have a hangar there. We buy, I think, we were told recently we buy as much or more fuel than anybody at the airport other than Aviation Explorer. So certainly have a very, personal vested interest in the airport, along with the experience of being there and working with a lot of the groups that also use the airport.
Great, thank you. I don't think there's an employee discount, though, so if you're trying to get
That's
that
all right.
off the fuel.
I'm just happy to be there.
All right, thank you.
That's good news. Let me ask you this question. Then what role do you see the Airport Advisory Board serving for the city of Ottawa?
I think personally, because I do spend a lot of time out there, I get to hear a lot of what, the people that actually use it the most, along with people who come in and out of the airport, whether that be the periodic corporate, level pilot or user, along with, the folks that are crop dusting and using it real heavily during the farming seasons. I have, that perspective of being there a lot throughout the year. So, I can take those experiences and, and listen to what they have and bring those to the board meetings and, and I guess relay those to, to the city as well. And likewise, explain to them maybe why something can or can't happen if that's beneficial, and, and try to bridge that gap.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Clayton.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
As you said, you obviously use the airport a lot, probably more than most people. So for you, what do you perceive as the biggest need or concern of the airport?
I think, I could break that up into like short term or like maybe an easy type project. And, for us, like I said, we have a hangar on the south side set of hangars. And, we notice frequently there being a need to have water down there. There's no water, which, people, they want to wash planes from a health and safety perspective in case they got something on them and need to just wash it off quick. The last thing they want to have to do is run all the way back up to the main, to the main hangar, main FBO, try to get your way in and, and get in the bathroom to do that. So having a water source down there would certainly be an immediate type project that would be really beneficial, I think. Long-term, I think everybody recognizes with the fly-ins and the increased uses of, folks coming to those events and other events that are held out there, having more hangars. There's a huge list of, folks waiting for hangar space. And, I think there's always, that need for more hangars, maybe need for an expanded apron. We're certainly, we're not a corporate airport, so we don't, we're not trying to compete with Gardner or somewhere like that. We're a general aviation airport, two very distinctly different entities, so to speak, and having that understanding and addressing the projects that will serve that community, I think is important to understand.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Crowley, you have another one.
Mr. Ryan, being the commission's ex officio for the advisory board, airport advisory board, we talk a lot about, what we can do to get people interested in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's Airport Fun Day and things like that. So if you could see one thing happen there,
Mm-hmm.
One event, one whatever, what would you like to see happen at the airport that might attract some attention to our airport?
Yeah, so other than what we're already doing, because I think the Airport Fun Day is a fabulous event that, our whole family, we try to take part in and contribute as much as possible. But, I know that I think if the airport could somehow bridge the gap with local schools, because I think there's a lot of kids that see being a pilot or being involved in aviation as only being, I hate to put it this way, but maybe a rich man's, type sport or, event. And that doesn't have to be the case. So I think maybe improving that communication and bridging the gap to the educational community to try to foster that growth through the upcoming generations would be a huge benefit there. I know that like Jack and and Jim and even my daughter have gone to some of the career days that the high school had in the past, and and it was good, like with my daughter being there, being close to the age of those to those high school folks, and the feedback I got from both Jim and Jack was that she did a great job and helped, I guess, make them feel more comfortable. So I think, trying to promote that would be a great way to slowly increase the traffic and use and trying to get that gap bridged as well.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Commissioner Clayton, you have any other questions that you wanted to press?
I think those have all been great things. Yeah, along with that, is there anything else you wish that we would have asked you, or anything else you'd?
No, I think the only thing I would just encourage, I know there's, 5 applicants for us and two positions. So, I would just encourage you to, whether it's me or somebody else, definitely pick somebody or pick roles that have a truly vested interest and experience with the airport folks, because, seeing the people who use it and what needs they have and the feedback they have, I think is important for these positions to be able to do.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
If there was no budget or unlimited budget for our airport day, what event would you like to see there?
For the Airport Fun Day?
Yeah.
I think maybe getting, and we actually, because I've got a daughter that's going to go to K-State this fall, my youngest daughter, she's going to go for A&P, mechanics and stuff. And while we've been talking to the K-State folks that have simulators and stuff, I think maybe, trying to maybe get some military involvement. Some of the folks that have the simulators, you see them, go to the, like to the air show in Gardner and that sort of thing. And that's always a popular event that really promotes, a lot with the community. So, I think having those folks, I mean, while that doesn't really involve a lot of budget, but, I think that would certainly bring and help in a lot of ways.
Very good. I thought you were going to say the Thunderbirds, but okay.
Well, okay, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe Thunderbirds or Blue
Maybe next year.
Angels. But,
Yeah. All right. Clark, thanks very much for coming in, your time. And like I said, there's 5 applicants, 2 openings, so we won't make a decision today until we get the other interviews, but we'll certainly keep you informed. So
All right.
thank you again for your application.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
we did have a public comment sign in late.
Okay. This would be a good time for that right now. So let me go ahead and read the public comments requirements. Subject to the above restrictions, persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items on the agenda may do so as that agenda item is called. Persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items not on the agenda and that are under the jurisdiction of the City Commission may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Comments on personnel matters and matters pending in court or with other outside tribunals are not permitted. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Any presentation is for informational purposes only. The governing body will take comments under advisement. And who do we have?
We have 2 comments. The first one is Crystal Lee, and I can't pronounce the last name.
That, right. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, how are you, sir?
Go ahead.
My name's Crystal Lee Prethero. I am a Civil Air Patrol member. It's kind of related to the military. It's a 501c3 of the Air Force. It's kind of like junior ROTC, but it's not the same thing. We actually have done some things at the airport, and we are now trying to work on starting a unit or squadron here in Ottawa. So we meet at the Armory on Tuesdays, and there's a lot of things that Civil Air Patrol does that are very useful to bring attention to the airport as well.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you.
I
for
brought
that.
some information.
You
Can I
can leave
leave it
that with
someone?
the city clerk here, and we'll get that to us. And there's a way to get back in touch with you there somewhere too. Very good. Thank you. And the second person.
Eric Davis.
Hi, Eric.
Good afternoon. Eric Davis. Recently moved to Ottawa. I'm a long-term resident from the Wichita area and work in the aviation industry, but I'm also the Kansas Wing Vice Commander for the Civil Air Patrol,
Okay.
of which we were just coming by to introduce ourselves and the fact that we are trying to establish a newer squadron here within the Ottawa area. We also will be talking to the Franklin County Emergency Management Group when they meet in May. Couple different things that, as Crystal Lee had just mentioned, that our primary week-to-week type activities is similar to a junior OTC program. However, we're different from the fact that we actually meet year-round versus the junior OTCs are usually tied to school and school activities that we're actually outside of the school system. And as we mentioned, that we do meet at the Armory on a weekly basis. We also have been using the airport that we've had. The Ottawa Airport's actually a good central location that we do have current squadrons at Lawrence and New Century and other Kansas City area, but we're outside of the Kansas City airspace, and so we've had fly-ins of our own that we do orientation rides with our cadets, and we also have had the glider up here a couple different times doing glider orientation days. And so we've gotten to know Jim Reeder pretty well, and we're working with them, but there's been some interest for a number of people coming to us to wanting to start a squadron here in the area. It does take about 6 months to a year to actually get a squadron going, that we have to have the members and the membership to be able to support a squadron before we'll actually charter one. And then, but going forward, we're anticipating getting one started and continuing from there. Our cadets can start at the age 12 and they age out at age 21. Usually we lose majority of them somewhere about 18 when they go to college. However, the program does continue beyond that, and actually there's a senior side to it. The senior side gets more into the emergency management type activities. We do work heavily with KDEM More recently, for instance, we do aerial photography work. We do have 5 aircraft here in the wing or in the state. More recently, we were assisting down south of here with a missing person search a couple weeks ago. We were requested by the Sheriff's Department to come in and assist them with ground teams, of which we did find the gentleman. Unfortunately, he was he was transported for medical and didn't survive his wounds. But other activities that we've done a couple years ago with all the flooding that was going on in the state, we were doing all the aerial photography work for KDM. So I'm assuming that's my time.
Well, if you have a few more minutes, you had another minute to add on something, go right ahead.
I don't. I was just, since I did recently move, I work in Kansas City.
Okay.
And continue to work in the aerospace industry, and took a promotion and moved to work in the Kansas City area. But me and my wife did find the Ottawa area highly interested, and we live up north side by Centropolis. And so we found a nice piece of property out there. And so we're looking to be contributors to Ottawa and the county. So.
That's great news. Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Welcome to the area as well. I want to say that as well for you and your family. If people want to be interested in this, I guess they can get a hold of, maybe
We have a website. We have,
your own
they can
website?
just put Kansas Civil Air Patrol into Google. It comes up with our wing address. My information's actually there since I'm the vice commander. Also, Crystal Lee had left information, and our contact phone number's there
Okay. Maybe we
also.
can put this on our webpage too to get in contact with you. So
We'd appreciate
I
that.
think it was very timely for you to be here while we're interviewing in Airport Advisory Board.
I find that coincidental, but yes.
Good timing.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your time. Thank you for your service. Thanks. All right, looks like we can move on to item 11.
Item A, resolution finding the advisability of and adopting of an expanded investment policy.
This resolution also would establish an effective date, provide for enforcement, and rescind prior resolutions. And I was just telling people coming in, it's exciting for me because last week we got to talk about flood insurance, and now we get to talk about finance. So my 2 favorite topics. But anyway, how about it, Rebecca? What do you got today?
Well, first, Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for having me. Just in case people did not tune in on March 20th, I'm going to do a little background first. Nope, I went the wrong way. Sorry. Okay, so this resolution that we're going to talk about today is related to an expanded investment authority. And so our current policy, which was put in place in 2016, is just gives us the authority to invest in direct obligations of United States or secured investments such as CDs, money markets, and the Kansas Municipal Investment Pool. It also limits those investments to 2 years. That's our current policy. But we're here to talk about expanded authority, which is a different state statute, and it allows us to directly invest in U.S. Treasuries, and it extends the length of the investments out to 4 years. And I included in the slides a partial listing of other Kansas municipalities that have the authority currently, and that was just kind of for your reference. So the current process to get to the expanded investment authority has 6 steps, which are drafting the policy. I'll present it to you. You vote on it. Once it's voted on, it'll go to the governing board, which is the Kansas Pooled Investment Board. And then they will take it to their board, and they either grant or deny the expanded powers. And then we annually have to review it with them. So that's what this little graphic is about for you. But today we're going to talk about the supporting documentation, which I did not have for you at the 20th, and so we've brought it back to you. Those are in the packet for anybody at home if you want to pull them up. So we're going to go through them item by item real quick. Well, not real quick. You can ask as many questions as you want. So first thing in the packet of the supporting documentation is the portfolio projections for 2024. So I included these projections in this document, and they're based off of the current investments we have and then the market trends that we are expecting. Obviously, if market trends take a huge swing from where we're considering them going, staff will adjust as necessary. But this is what we're projecting out for the year, which leads us to our strategic plan to maintain the pool balance. So at the end of 2023, the investment pool as a total amount had $20 million in it. And our goal is just to maintain that balance throughout the year. And so what we mean by maintain is that as investments mature, that we are timely in reinvesting them to continue to maintain the pool balance. Also, staff has really worked and focused on better defining idle funds. And so I kind of want to talk about that with you guys. That word is used often in state statutes and in our conversations, and so I thought it might be valuable to understand what that means. So right now, each month, at the end of the month, I update a spreadsheet, which I won't bore you with the actual spreadsheet, but where I track well, I track a 12-month rolling average of our expenditures. And then what we're ensuring is kept in our operational accounts is enough funds to pay 3 months of average expenditures. And how we came upon 3 months was that we looked at that, and then we looked and saw when we had the largest expenditures, which, no surprise, is October when we pay our bond payments. And so a 3-month average ensures that you can pay that bond payment if it's that time, but also it makes sure that if there was an emergency, we would have readily cash available to pay those bills. And so anything over that is what we're determining idle funds. And previously, that's not how that term was really defined in our office, not in a bad way. They just were trying to maximize the amount of funds that we can invest to get a return on our investment. And so sorry, I'm just moving right through. So I'm all the way up to the 4 now, the overnight account. So our goal this year is to utilize the overnight account at the KMIP differently than we have in the past. So in the past, any money that was moved from our operational accounts to the KMIP was put into a fixed rate investment. So it was held for 30 days, 90, a year, 18 months, whatever was the best route in that moment. And so our goal now is with those idle funds is to transfer them at the end of the month from our operating accounts over to KMIP, because currently the overnight account at KMIP is at a higher rate than our sweep account or our operational account. And so I included a little table in the supporting documentation that just shows you, if we're talking about, I used $1 million for 30 days. If we have it at, I have a daily interest rate in there and interest earned into the month. I used a 30-day month, just so everybody understands. And then the interest rates that are currently offered on the 3 different accounts. So just to show you what moving every little idle fund over does for our overall goal. And then I also had, originally, there was a note in it's mentioned in the policy about staff qualifications, and I just wanted to take a moment to hit on that as well, in that because we're under, which I addressed this on the 20th, we're under that 40 million in our pool that the Public Municipal Board said that we should have to probably make use of this expanded authority. We feel that because of the quality staff that we have, that with the supporting document that we can really articulate and argue to them that we have the ability and the gumption to do this and to do it well. Are there any questions about supporting documentations before I?
I just had one.
Okay.
At one point, I think I saw the year-to-date maturity projection of 4.79. This is on page 17. So that's what we have currently. Is that like a weighted average of all of our idle fund investments?
Yeah. So that would be if we follow this projection,
Okay.
which all that's in that projection is our what we've currently realized in interest up to now, and all of our fixed rate investments that will mature in the next year. So there are still idle funds sitting in the overnight and even in our operating account that could be additionally invested in fixed rates or moved over. And so that rate will fluctuate and ideally, hopefully, go up. But that is if we do nothing else and we leave all the money where it is and just ride the investments out for the rest of the year. That's what the yield to maturity would be.
That's great. Yeah, with the yield curve so flat now, short-term, long-term, they're all pretty close within a short range there, so we can't miss. But this has been a great addition. So thank you for that explanation.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna go on. So the financial impact, obviously, we've done a lot of research here. We're trying to maximize our benefit for all of our funds. These aren't just general funds. I like to reiterate that. And the legal considerations, the city attorney Finch has reviewed the resolution and approved it as to form.
And so if PMIB doesn't approve this, is this done or any appeal? Or how do we work that out?
So if the pooled municipal investment board doesn't approve it, what it still does is if you pass this policy, it gives us, we have the right then to do because it's our policy, our investment policy, we wouldn't have the expanded authorities in the fact that we could go out 4 years. But with this policy, I can open the correct account so that we can direct purchase from the U.S. Treasuries because this is our policy. We would still be limited on the years, but we could do those direct investments. At least that's what my research has told me and all the things I've read. So my anticipation is if they denied it, that we would continue to gather our data and probably try to come back next year and just reapply and take their feedback to heart and grow and learn from it.
That's good. And on the going to Treasury Direct, if we were to buy some T-bills, is there a fee for that, or do they charge anything at their end?
So I couldn't see past how to get a login.
Okay.
There may be some fees, but I know that at least by buying direct, I know that the fees would just be a transactional fees and not a fee to somebody doing that on our behalf.
Okay, good. All right, thanks.
Rebecca, help me out here. You mentioned earlier, and please don't take this the wrong way, I certainly hope that you guys are our staff for a long time.
Yes,
But if staffs do change, unfortunately.
they do.
And I know you guys are up to speed on everything, but if the next person that's in that decision-making position isn't quite as educated about this, what kind of negative impact could occur?
That's a wonderful question. So part of the policy references like job descriptions. So it references particularly my job description and Director Landis's. And to apply for my position or hers, you have to have certain qualifications.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that they would be a stellar investment guru. They might have everything but that, and they might be a great fit. But we're hoping with putting this policy, putting these practices in place, that we're paving a road that if, this is a terrible sentiment, but sometimes I like to say, what happens if I get hit by a bus? I've saved this document here. So if that happens, if something terrible happens, I've left enough breadcrumbs that someone can catch on, and we're trying to invest out so that person can get on board, have time to get the learning curve, and really figure it out. The negative would be that they might make a terrible 18-month investment or a 4-year investment where we have a very low interest rate. The caveat to that is that usually you can get out of a fixed rate investment, you just will lose your interest that you might earn and might pay and it would just be the interest.
And that's a great answer. I mean, that's
Okay.
kind of what I was looking for, is because I don't, if 2 years, I mean, we're looking for another 2 years now. And I mean, you could certainly make a bad decision, quite frankly, with those additional 2 years. So that's why I was kind of looking to see what, I understand there are the qualifications, and certainly, hopefully, nobody will ever meet your guys' qualifications for sure. But if they get close, hopefully, those breadcrumbs are there to lead the way.
Yeah, and that's our real goal with the policy and the way we are documenting things and also teaching the staff below us and passing on the knowledge.
Great. Thank you.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
The one other piece that you might have some backup security in knowing is that we do have to submit an annual review to the Pooled Money Investment Board. And so they are looking at the investments that you've made and your plan and your approach. And so if they were to deny continued expanded authority, that would give you that would cue you into there needing to be some sort of a management or continued management or oversight of what's happening in the investment world in our inside here.
Deny it now, or is it a yearly?
No, in the future. It's annual review.
Annual review,
Mhm.
okay,
So
so
they'll continue to review
it's-
our activity and our progress.
it's kind of like a secondary, I guess, fail-safe in a sense that if
Yes.
they see something wrong, they can call it out too.
Right.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, well, I'm here to answer questions, but also hoping that you'll take some final action today. Our recommendation is to adopt this resolution as it stands before you.
I've been encouraged by the increase of our volume, or means our portfolio over the years, the last couple of years anyway. And the way I look at it as a capitalist, I guess I look at it as a city asset that I think we can maximize our return on, and we're certainly doing that. Melanie, I want to say thanks to you too for all your work in this. I know it's just not Rebecca or maybe both of you, I'm sure, combined effort on this, but she's the one that, but you're over her, that's okay. But I just think that's a great thing that we're able to maximize this return on this asset. I also see the importance of having these idle funds and letting them, and as they grow, and the people in our community may wonder, why are we growing these idle funds? Well, one thing is it helps us when we get our Moody bond rating, if we want to borrow money, if we have more idle funds, that helps our bond rating, which makes us lower risk on the bond market. And so if we go to borrow money, hopefully that rate will be lower, and that's what we're looking for as well. But it's also good to have a rainy day fund, and this is a big one, but it's still good to have, that was a poor choice of words after this flood stuff, but if we ever need money for whatever reason, then we've got it here, and that's important to have that reserve fund set aside for that very purpose. And I also think I like this idea of going longer, because as rates start declining, which I thought they would today, but they actually went higher with the inflation rate taking another jump up, and maybe longer before the Fed will start lowering rates. But the fact that we are eventually we will be in a rate declining environment, and at that point it's good to go long term on some of these investments to hold that maximum return on your money for a longer period of time. So I'm glad we're able to expand that to 4 years. But yeah, you're right on that. That's a good way to look at that. Well, I thought I had some more questions, but I think you've answered pretty much everything that I was wondering about. So I think we're. So with the commission,
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner.
I want to continue on with what you were saying. I think that the recent history of the finance department has certainly proven that they do a great job. The return on the investments that they've made are significantly higher than what we've seen certainly in the past and even in the recent past. So saying all that and continuing with what you said, I would like to make the motion to approve item 11 on our agenda.
And is there a second on that?
I will second.
Good. Any other discussion? Well, let's take a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote? Mayor Pro Tem Allen is absent. Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler is absent. Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
And Mayor Skidmore.
Absolutely, yes. That is a quorum and that is a vote approval. So thank you very much for all your
Thank
hard
you.
work, ladies. I appreciate it very much. You provided some wonderful reading for me the last 2 nights, so I thank you for that.
Anytime.
It did not put me to sleep.
Zach and I would like to discuss maybe something we like one of these days.
No, denied. Let's move on to item number 12.
Item A, ordinance granting conditional use permit application to allow for a 2-family dwelling at 804 South Locust.
Well, this lot is currently vacant. The planning commission considered the plat plus staff findings and unanimously recommend approval of a conditional use permit. I guess I'll ask one more time. Is Commissioner Kaler online?
He
She
said
is
no.
not. We won't be able to vote on this then. Do you want to wait until we can vote, or how do you want to present something to me if you're not going to be here next time?
I will be here next time. I'll defer to the commission on what their preference is. I'll be reading through basically the entirety of the recommendations that I have, both time. So if you prefer it all just be done at once, I can, move it to the
Commissioners have
next
any
meeting
questions on
that's
that?
available.
We can wait, or do you want to hear it tonight?
Mr. Mayor, I say we wait.
Yeah, let's wait. We may as well wait till that. Want to make sure you get all presented at the same time, so. Thanks for being here anyway, for all that time you got to enjoy the city commission meeting all this time, so.
Learned a lot about airplanes today. It was great. So.
All right. Let's see here, I guess we can move on. Our city manager is not present, so let's start with comments by the governing body. Commissioner Crowley,
I have none.
Commissioner Clayton.
None at this time.
I'd just say one more thing. It was exciting to see the eclipse here in town. At one point, I got a son in Dallas. I thought I'd be driving down to see him, but he was saying a lot of people are going down there, and I looked online. There's a video to show what it would look like here. I thought, well, that's enough for me. I don't want to drive 500 miles to see that. So anyway, it was good to be able to have it here. I think what's missed on the whole thing is the amazing science and intelligence of people who are able to predict what day it'll happen, what time it'll happen, down to the minute, and how long it'll last. And I just am amazed by our technology, our smart people being able to figure that out somewhere to be able to tell us when it was going to peak out. And just amazing. I think the next one was going to be 2079, so everybody eat your vegetables, and we'll be around. We'll meet at that time too and watch it one more time, so be ready for that. Nothing else come before the commission. We've got announcements, April 17th, the next commission meeting, along with April 24th. If there's nothing else to come before the city commission meeting tonight,